Welcome to B-Flow TV. My name is B-Flow, the president of the Zambia Association of Musicians, and I am on an assignment. I have been assigned by my voters to look for a certain man who is going to give us accurate information about some of the things that we have heard about in the recent weeks, where we've seen issues of names, who should use what name and who shouldn't. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to introduce to you the Deputy Registrar at PACRA, who is going to tell us more about some of these terminologies that we are always hearing about. So, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll for the one and only Mr. Chewe.
Hi, Brian, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? Whichever you're comfortable with.
Great. Thank you.
How's it going?
It's going well. We're doing very well, and we're grateful to have you in our premises. It's always good to have one of our key stakeholders, and on a personal note, I find it very wonderful that I'm being interviewed by someone who is from Kabwe, like myself.
Hey.
And exactly, although people say not very nice things about how helpful our town is on their way to the copper belt. I will not get into that, but just to say it is necessary to have Kabwe if you are either coming from the copper belt or going to Lusaka. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We hear so many words and we sometimes don't understand the meanings behind these words. So words like IP or intellectual property, words like patents or patenting, words like copyright, and words like trademark. Can you simplify those terminologies in layman's language for people to just understand?
Okay, great. So when you talk about intellectual property, we are talking about property, but it's property which is different from property, ordinary property as we know it. In its physical form. So this property, which is intellectual property, is intangible. You can't touch it, but it results from what you've created using the human mind or the intellect, which is why they call it intellectual property. So it's divided into two branches. There's industrial property, then there's copyright. So now industrial property involves or includes patents, trademarks, and industrial designs. So the terminologies might sound technical, but when I explain them, you realize that they're just basically ordinary stuff that we can unravel and easily understand. And then there's copyright and related rights on the other side. So when you talk about patents, we are talking about an invention. So for you to get patent protection, you're going to get exclusive rights which will be granted to you by either a government or a government agency. So in the case of Zambia, that government agency is PACRA. So when you get a patent, what you are getting is the rights to stop others from using an invention which you have come up with. So that invention should be new, not only in Zambia, but world over. Okay? And that should not be an obvious invention. It should not be something that you can do ordinarily, and it should have use in its application. Now, that invention should solve a technical problem. So examples of inventions would include, let's say, I usually give this example. You know how we drill to get water? You use a drilling machine. If you're going to come up with an easier way using a simpler process or an easier tool, that would probably qualify for patent protection. So what you'll be getting is a patent over an invention. So you get patent protection. So you will say you have a patent over this. And the rights that you will have are rights to stop others from using that invention. Okay? Now, there is also what we call an industrial design. So as an artist, you're big on designs, okay? The watches that you wear, the shirts that you put on, the shoes. So those are designs because they will appeal to someone. So the exclusive rights that you will get are rights that will stop others from using what you have designed. So for you to get those rights in the design has to be new, and it should have an individual character, meaning you should be able to tell it apart from other designs. So you will get an industrial design protection for that. Then there is what has been trending a lot, which is trademarks. Now, a trademark is a name, a sign, or a symbol, or a combination of a name, a sign, or a symbol. You put them together, or even a tagline, which you use to differentiate goods of one business or individual from another. Let's say you want to get into a business of making water, or is it packaging water, because you really can't make water. So if you're going to package water as Bflow, and as Chewe, I'm also in that space, I package water. How does a person who wants to buy water differentiate your water from my water? So you will give your water the name Bflow, so that if someone is going to purchase a bottle of water, they'll say, I'm going to buy Bflow water. So that is a trademark. So the function is to differentiate your water from my water. So when you walk into PACRA offices to ask for a service to have a trademark registered, you will have goods in mind. So trademark protection is restricted to the goods for which you got protection. So we don't give trademark protection what would say without goods in mind, or you don't get carte blanche protection for trademarks. You have particular goods for which that name will be used, because the purpose is to avoid confusion, and to also give you as a consumer quicker access to products that you're used to. So if you take Bflow water, you don't need to try all manner of water before you get to the Bflow water. Just walk to the market and say, I take Bflow water. So it reduces your consumer costs, it reduces the time that you take to get your goods that you want to purchase. So those are some of the things that a trademark does. So maybe one would ask a question, how or why, or how important are trademarks to musicians? Okay, as a musician, so you've built a brand, Bflow. People associate you with there's this Bflow that you look up to, he's an ambassador, he stands up for certain things. So you want to monetize the use of the name Bflow. You can then say, I want to start designing hoodies or t-shirts, and I want to use or to put on those the name Bflow. So you come and register a trademark with the hoodies and the shirts in mind. So we'll give you trademark registration services. You get a trademark registration in relation to what you want to use your name for. So, which means another person cannot have a business where they are making hoodies and they use the name Bflow in relation to those goods that you have registered your trademark for. So you will have a spin-off from merely recording music and performing to having a clothing line, for example. Other musicians have come up with scents. There's a line for perfumes, there's a line for powder. There are popular musicians who've branched into that field. And that is trademarks that they've been leveraging off their fame. So
what would happen if another person came up and they say, well, mine is spelled differently? For example, they say mine is B-double-E as B and then F-L-O, flow. It still sounds Bflow when someone hears it out there, but they're saying it's a different variation of the name.
Okay, so the key issue here is there a possibility of confusion? So the phonetic part sounds the same, and if you're going to use it for the same goods, then there's a likelihood of confusion. So that person who comes after you've registered is unlikely to succeed, because they will be riding off your fame as Bflow, and it is possible that there would be confusion. So remember what we were saying about the trademark, what it does. It helps differentiate goods. okay, one from another. But if there is confusion and the goods cannot be differentiated, then the function of a trademark is not being performed. So it is unlikely that that person would get that name.
Okay, thank you so much. The elephant in the room.
Yes.
When we saw the situation between XAVEN and SARAFINA, the trademarks, all of us got scared.
Yes.
And I remember that particular week, all of us were just saying, I'm going to PACRA to make sure that no one else is using my name.
Yes.
And for that reason, I am here today to tell the nation that I am Biflo. Leave that one to me. In fact, to protect myself and my brand, today I am starting that process. Any advice for me or any guidelines? How do I go about it? What do I need to come with? Did I need to carry my NRC or any other things?
Wonderful. So the way it works is, firstly, congratulations. As president, you are leading by example. This is really the kind of leadership that your members need, and we're grateful that you are leading from the front. So what you need to do to register a trademark is, you can access our services online, but you can also walk into our offices like you have done. So if you want to register a logo, we will need a copy of your logo to be attached to the application form. So there's an application form that you fill out, and when you fill out that application form, it will require you to attach to it the logo that you want. If it is a logo, if it's just a name, you can just type over the name. And the goods that you want to be using your trademark for, you need to state it, and to also state whether you're already using the trademark or you're not using the mark, and the address over on which we can get you. The moment you fill out that form, you make a payment. So after you make a payment, what we will then do is we will examine your application to see whether or not anyone else has applied for it or applied for it prior to your application, and whether or not it meets the requirements that we need for trademark protection. Then we'll get back to you and say, your mark has been accepted, or can you make this amendment?
I can't wait for that good news.
Exactly. And that can be done usually within a week or less, 2 to 3 days maybe. Sometimes even, depending on the volume of applications, even 2 days max, you can get your response. And after that, we will require you to pay an amount for publication. So at the end of every month, we have a journal which details all applications for intellectual property in that particular month. So we ask you to make a payment, and your application will appear in there. The idea is to give notice to interested people or parties to take note and say, there's this application. In case they have any opposition, or they say, look, this is Biflo got my logo, he didn't get my permission. So that is for 2 months, it's open. If there's no opposition, then we ask you come now and formally make a request that we give you a certificate. Then we'll issue you with a certificate. And for 7 years, you don't need to pay anything from the time you get your certificate.
Wow.
And you have the right to exclude others. You have the right to license your mark without paying anything for a whole 7 years. And after that, you make a one-off payment for 14 years. Again, you don't pay anything.
Wow.
So by the time 7 years from now, I mean, you become far much bigger than you are. So it's that easy.
It's amazing. It's really, really amazing. What's the time frame for the application process? So from the time that you make the application to the time
you get your certificate. Yeah. So from the time you apply to the time you get your certificate, it's on average 4 months. But protection is given on what we call first to file basis. That's how it works. So the first person to file enjoys priority over the subsequent person to apply. So the earlier you apply, the better. And once you've applied, the effective date of protection is to the date when you applied. Okay. So we'll give you a certificate maybe 4 months from when you filed, but the certificate will indicate that the validity of your mark or the protection is effective from the date when you filed. Okay. So today, being the 5th of June 2025, is the date from which the mark Biflo will be valid.
Yes, yeah. Indeed.
Yeah.
So I'd like to encourage my fellow artists to make sure that we protect our intellectual property. And so I'm going to request Mr. Chewe to give us a list of even up to 5 artists that have protected their brand names, just to encourage others out there.
Okay, great. So far we have Elton Mulenga, Yomaps. Yeah, Yomaps. So Yomaps has the trademark Yomaps and Oleos. These are registered in various classes. I think he has the highest number of trademark registrations. Amazing. And then we have XAVEN, who made an application. We have yourself, who is about to make an application. Yes. We have is it SARAFINA? I don't know. I don't think she's a musician, but she's an artist. She's in the entertainment industry. From the gospel space, we have Lumbani Music for Lumbani Madoda. We have Great Light Music. I think they're the ones who used to manage VOP, which is Vessels of Praise from Capital Christian Ministries. And we also have, I think, Lusaka Music Studios, the veterans of the gospel music production. So there's a huge number of musicians that have done that. Yeah.
That's encouraging. That's encouraging, and we hope that more people will come up. I can't wait to display my certificate on social media so that they see.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else that I haven't asked you that you feel is important for people to know out there about PACRA? Sometimes when we hear PACRA, I think some people feel
So I think one thing that people should appreciate is PACRA is our offices are open to them. We have a call center which can take their calls, but if for some reason they prefer to come and physically visit us in any of our offices, we're available to attend to them. We are in all the 10 provinces and in Kitwe and in Livingston as well, making our offices about 13. So we also have an active online presence. Engage us on social media, and we're also grateful for partners like yourself. We've seen a renewed relationship between ZAM and PACRA from the time you took over the presidency, and we hope to continue on that trajectory.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Anything for our intellectual property is definitely welcome. So thank you so much, Mr. Chewe, for hosting us today in your beautiful office, and we continue to interact, and we hope to continue having a very good working relationship so that we can continue to protect our works and our brands. Thank you. I've been talking to the Deputy Registrar at PACRA, Mr. Chewe, and we've been talking all things intellectual property, and I hope that my fellow artists will definitely visit PACRA, whether physically or online. Let's do this. Oh, yes.
Okay, it's done. Okay. So one of people remains with us, we go to the other one.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Welcome.